Welcome to the Camac video guides. In this video, I'm going to show you how to change strings.
It is perfectly normal for strings to break, or even just to wear out and start to sound dull. They are made out of such a flexible material and kept at such a high level of tension that they naturally stretch out and weaken over time. You can be sure that sooner or later you're going to have to change a string.
That's why this is one of the most useful things to know about taking care of the instrument.
New Camac harp strings come coiled up in plastic envelopes like this and can be bought on our online boutique or from any Camac partner. The strings come in different materials and each and every one has a slightly different diameter, so it is important to match the appropriate string to the one you are replacing.
The harp world has two systems for numbering strings. The first one groups them into octaves, first octave G, second octave F, and so on. The second assigns each string an individual number. Plus they're different for pedal and lever harps.
On a pedal harp, the first octave begins at the harp's top E string. We call the F and G above that octave 0. You may also see these strings described as above first octave F and above first octave G. Starting from first octave E, we then count down through the first octave until we get to the next E, which is second octave E. First octave F and second octave E are therefore next to each other. The second numbering system follows a similar principle in that the 0th octave F and G do not receive a number, but instead are called G00 and F0. First octave E is then E1, all the way down to C45 at the base of a 47-string harp.
In the very top register of the harp, the strings are usually made out of nylon. Starting at the second octave, you may want to begin stringing your harp with gut. However, some people begin stringing in gut as low as the third octave, and some people use gut all the way to the top of the harp, opting out on nylon entirely. It's a personal preference that will depend on what kind of sound you prefer and what your budget is.
On lever harps, the octave starts at the top A. Everything above that is 0th octave B, C, D, E. The numbering system similarly starts at A1, so depending on the range of your lever harp, you may have E00, D00, C00, and B0, then A1, G2, F3, and so on. The kind of material you use, nylon, gut, or alliance, will depend on the model of the lever harp that you have.
You can check out the Camac string numbering charts online. Now that we've chosen the correct string, it's time to put it on the harp. I'm going to demonstrate how to do this for several different kinds of strings, on both pedal and lever harps. First, I will be changing a middle range gut string on a pedal harp. When you're handling a new gut string like this one, try not to bend or crimp the string. If you do, it will be weakened at the point where it was bent and it won't last as long.
Notice that the strings are knotted up against the back of the soundboard. Run up through little holes. Go neatly between the sharp and natural discs, sit over the string nut, and wind around the tuning peg. You can either tie the knot first and then thread the string through the back of the harp, which can sometimes be a bit of a struggle. Or, I like to feed it through the hole from the front, where it's easier to see, and then tie the knot once it's through.
Now get ready with your string end. The string end is what you will tie your knot around.
It can either be a wooden peg like this, or it can be a piece cut from the lowest and thickest gut strings.
Hold the string with the end pointing to your right. Loop the end in back right under left. Now hold the loop in place with your left hand, and with your right hand twist the loop to the left. Still holding the twisted loop firmly, put the end of the string through the front of the loop. You now have the basic shape of your knot. Take the string end and put it through the loop. Pull the loop tightly, taking care of how you handle the rest of the string so that you don't bend it. If you have trouble tightening the knot, it helps to grip it between two fingers right at the twist and pull. Once the string end is secured, you can pull the string back up, and the knot will be further tightened as it's pressed against the soundboard. Now thread the string through the hole in the tuning peg, once again making sure not to crimp the string as you pull it up. Don't worry about pulling the string completely tight at this point. Leave enough slack so that it ends up with 2 or 3 twists around the tuning peg. This helps prevent the string from breaking. With your right hand, insert your tuning key onto the correct tuning peg and turn it towards the column. With your left hand, make sure that the string winds neatly around the peg and in towards the harp, not crossing over itself. As it tightens, make sure that it's hooked over the string nut. You will want to have the corresponding pedal in the flat position so that the pins are open and you can fit the string easily between them.
Finish winding the string up until it has the correct pitch. Then cut the rest of the string off. And if there is enough for a second string, return the rest to its package. The string will now need some time to adjust to the tension, so don't worry if it goes flat very quickly. To help it stretch out, you can pull on it. But in any case, you will need to tune it a lot over the next few days.
Next, I will demonstrate a nylon string from the top register of the pedal harp. These smaller strings have a tendency to slip, and so you will need to add extra security to your knots on both ends of the string.
At the bottom end, you can add an extra loop or two to your knot around the string end. At the top end, you can loop the string around itself once as you are winding up the string. Lower down on the harp, the strings are thick enough so that you don't necessarily have to use a string end. In this case, tie the string making 2 loops instead of 1, and put the right hand loop through the back of the left hand loop before pulling it tight.
Wire strings come already secured at the bottom. What you need to know about wire strings is that they do not stretch nearly as much as the other strings. And so when you are preparing to wind them up, you need to leave enough slack to get about 2 or 3 twists around the tuning peg.
Pull the middle of the string up about an octave or an octave and a half. Bend the top of the wire over before winding.
Changing strings on a lever harp is basically the same as what I just demonstrated for the pedal harp. The knot will be the same. Make a loop right under left. Twist it once. Feed the short end through the front and tighten around a string end. When you are winding up the string, guide it into place over the string nut and just behind the lever. Now you know what to do when a string breaks.
Actually, you don't even have to wait for a string to break to change it. If you see a string start to look frayed or pitted, it's only a matter of time before it goes false and breaks, so it may be a good idea to change it before it does, so that you don't risk having the string give out during a performance.
The bass wires and the lowest gut strings rarely break at all, but they lose their sound over time, and so it's a good idea to replace all the bass wires once a year or once every other year, depending on how much you play, and the lower gut strings every few years. Thanks for watching!